the process of turning acacia wood into 1.6mm veneer sheets. In the vast yard of a wood processing factory located in the Midland Hills, the early morning already echoes with the hum of machinery mixed with the chatter of workers. Acacia trees, grown for years on the red basalt hillsides, have now reached harvest age. Truckloads of logs arrive one after another, destined for a new life. Their final form will be thin veneer sheets of 1.6mm, a crucial raw material in the plywood industry, furniture production, and many other wood-based industries. The journey begins with raw logs, each about 2.6 meters long, with an average diameter of 20 to 30 centimeters. At the cutting station, a massive industrial saw with high horsepower stands ready. Its carbide-tipped blade gleams under the workshop's fluorescent lights, powered by a roaring electric motor. The operator, with years of experience, guides each log carefully onto the sliding table. As the saw spins at thousands of revolutions per minute, the sharp whine fills the air, accompanied by a spray of fine sawdust that sparkles in the morning light like golden mist. Each log is sliced precisely into 2 equal billets of 1.27 meters, the standard length required for the veneer peeling machines downstream. Precision here is critical. Even a few millimeters of error could compromise efficiency and reduce yield in the next stages. Once the logs are cut, a team of female workers steps in. Wearing work uniforms, thick gloves, and protective boots, they skillfully and gently lift the billets, each weighing dozens of kilograms, and place them onto the conveyor belt. Their movements are steady, practiced, and coordinated, creating a rhythmic labor dance that harmonizes with the mechanical pulse of the saws. The billets now move toward the debarking station. Acacia bark is rough, resinous, and often filled with dirt and small stones, materials that could quickly damage a peeling blade. At this stage, a 25 kilowatts debarking machine comes into play. Equipped with 2 massive, tooth-covered rollers, it grips the log tightly and rotates it while steel knives scrape away the bark. Within seconds, the rough, dark exterior vanishes, revealing the smooth, pale yellow wood beneath. The freshly debarked logs gleam with a natural sheen. Each growth ring is visible, telling the silent story of years spent growing in sun, rain, and wind. The operator carefully adjusts the machine's pressure, ensuring that only the bark is removed while minimizing the loss of valuable wood fiber. The billets now look like perfect cylinders, clean and ready for peeling. Next comes the heart of the entire process, veneer peeling. Each billet is mounted onto the spindle of a horizontal peeling lathe. The machine is massive, its long, razor-sharp blade stretching across the full length of the log. Once engaged, the lathe begins rotating the billet at 45 revolutions per minute, while the blade moves steadily inward. In a mesmerizing transformation, the solid log begins to unravel into continuous ribbons of veneer. Thin sheets, perfectly uniform at 1.6mm thickness, are peeled layer by layer, much like unwinding a giant roll of paper. The long, golden ribbons are then automatically clipped into sheets of standard size, their edges crisp and clean. The scent of fresh acacia wood fills the workshop, earthy, resinous, and slightly sweet, an unmistakable fragrance that clings to every corner of the factory. The operator stays vigilant, eyes trained on the spinning billet. When a knot or irregular grain passes through, the machine's pitch changes, producing a harsher, grinding sound. Quick adjustments to pressure and blade angle are made to prevent tearing or splitting. Veneer production demands both machine precision and human sensitivity. Together they ensure that each sheet emerges smooth, flat, and uniform. Once peeled, stacks of veneer sheets accumulate rapidly. Workers collect them, aligning the thin sheets carefully into bundles. Despite their fragile appearance, the veneers are surprisingly flexible, able to bend without breaking. Still, they must be handled with care to avoid cracks or folds. The final critical step is natural sun drying. Outside, vast drying yards are prepared with rows of racks or frames. Workers spread the fresh veneers out evenly, allowing each sheet to bask in the sun. Under the golden daylight, the veneers shimmer with a honey-like glow. A gentle breeze makes them ripple slightly, like fields of rice swaying in the wind. Sun drying is more than just removing moisture, it's about preserving the wood's natural color and fragrance. Over several hours, the moisture content decreases to the optimal level for further processing, whether that means glue lamination, hot pressing, or direct sale. Workers constantly monitor the weather. If sudden rain clouds appear, they rush to cover the veneers with tarpaulins or move them into sheltered storage. On good sunny days, drying progresses smoothly, and by afternoon, the sheets are ready to be stacked and bundled. From start to finish, the transformation of acacia wood into veneer sheets is a story of balance, between brute machine power and delicate human labor, between industrial precision and the generosity of nature. The saw roars with raw strength, the debarker strips away roughness, the lathe peels with surgical finesse, and the sun gently completes the process. These 1.6mm veneer sheets, though thin and unassuming, are the backbone of countless products. Once shipped from the factory, they may be pressed into plywood, laminated into furniture panels, or used in decorative finishes. Tables, chairs, cabinets, doors, even flooring, all begin here, as humble sheets peeled from logs of acacia. From distant forests, nurtured by years of sunlight and rain, to bustling factories where machines and workers toil together, the journey of acacia wood reflects not only industrial skill but also human ingenuity and resilience. Every thin sheet carries within it the silent memory of the tree it once was, and the labor of those who turned it into a material that will serve homes, offices, and lives around the world.